Hello, I'm Cheryl Caswell, the third vice chairman of the Pima County Republican Party, and I bring to you voter registration basics and current voter registration efforts. You can reach me anytime at volunteer number 4 Pima GOP at outlook.com. I'm happy to present to you the 2022 Great American Bloc Party, May 23rd through May 27th, 2022 Gasoline Rally. The current voter registration drive gasoline rally, May 23rd through May 27th. We have suggested daily event destinations, Monday through Friday, which includes gas and fuel stations, car washes, oil and lube centers, tire centers, auto care centers, and car dealerships. It's an expansion of the current nationwide gas station voter registration efforts. Please join with a few good Republican friends, volunteers, and precinct committeemen and host a local event or an effort at a daily destination in your legislative district and in your precinct. Just take a few hours every day or a few days during that week to register and recruit new Republican voters. Remember, the Pima County Republican Party recommends as a courtesy that all precinct committeemen and legislative districts contact business owners and managers at locations of interest if you are asking to host a drive effort on private property. Always get permission and request to use private property from the business owner and manager. For a gas saver tip, do some reconnaissance. It's best to take a lap around the track to check out the preferred location in advance. There's many right-of-way road easement locations off of streets and main thoroughfares that are acceptable and large enough for a small effort. Remember to introduce your voter registration effort drive as a community service sponsored by the Republican Party of Pima County. Included in any good action plan is a parts list. The voter registration action plan includes voter registration kits and additional voter registration forms, pens and clipboards, creative handmade posters and signs, and beautiful, bold American flags. Wear sunscreen and hats and bring lots of water. Many right-of-way easements allow for a small sunshade or umbrella and a small table or a few chairs. Completed voter registration forms must be turned into the Pima County Recorder's offices or the Pima County Republican Party headquarters within 7 days. Voter integrity begins with you. Protect the voter data you collect. Photographs and photocopies are not authorized of voter registration forms. Utilize the carbon copy to follow up with voters after submitting their voter registration forms and remind them to check the voter registration status within 7 to 10 days. Voter registration kits and the attendance guide, voter registration guide for Republican legislative districts and precinct committeemen are available at legislative district meetings and the Pima County Republican headquarters. These can be utilized all year for voter registration efforts. Daily event destination and suggested locations for voter registration drive gasoline rally May 23rd through May 27th include Monday gas fuel stations, Tuesday car washes, Wednesday oil and lube centers, Thursday tire centers, Friday auto care centers and car dealerships. Continue to speed into Memorial Weekend and beyond, delivering voter services at community events, barbecues, picnics, and get-togethers throughout 2022. On the right-hand side of the screen is Scott Pressler, Republican activist, registering voters at gas station voter registration in New York, having lots of fun recruiting new Republicans to the Republican Party. Please utilize the suggested locations and contact the businesses to utilize any private property. Otherwise, utilize the right-of-way and introduce yourself as a community service. If you do not feel welcome, thank the business owner and move on. There are plenty of locations and supporters. Let's take a look at the voter registration statistical data from the Pima County Recorder. May 2nd and May 9th, we saw a purge of 11,340 voters throughout Pima County in all political parties. 2,995 were Republicans from the Pima County Republican Party. Since election of 2020, we have lost 12,350 voters. It is important that as the third for voter registrations in Pima County and 28% of the registered voters, that we reach out. We reach out into the IND and PND class of voters. There are many like-minded people that share our values. Reaching out to them, and statistics show that the more often we have face-to-face contact and person-to-person outreach, these voters are more likely to vote with us and show up on election day to vote. As Pima County Republican Party Precinct Committeeman, here's a graphic from the Arizona Republican Party Precinct Committeeman Handbook of 2019. On the left-hand side, you will see registering voters and educating voters is one of the most important duties for a precinct committeeman, as well as canvassing our neighborhood, recruiting more Republican PCs, gathering petition signatures, and supporting our great Republican candidates. Get out the vote and voter registration are the top responsibilities and duties for a precinct committeeman. Let's go through a few important resources for precinct committeemen and Republican volunteers. Voter registration resource from the Secretary of State, Arizona. Please bookmark this site, my.arizona.vote. You can utilize this from a mobile device. You can find voter registrations, polling locations, and get information about ballot by mail. Let's review two important resources for Pima County. Pima County Recorder website. Bookmark it. www.recorder.pima.gov. On the lower left-hand side of the slide, notice the menu on the home screen. It includes voter information and election information. Let's review those together on the next slide. All right, so let's break them out. On the Pima County Recorder website, under the menu selection breakout for voter information, you can register to vote, find a precinct or legislative district, check a voter registration, look at the requirements for the voter ID, and find all of the FAQs for most voter questions. Under the election information menu breakout, you can find early voting sites and locations, curbside ballot drop locations, polling locations, or voting center locations. You can also request to vote by mail. No Pebble or Avel sign-up required. Just call the Pima County Recorder's office. You can check ballot by mail status. You can check provisional ballot status. Each ballot receives a batch number assignment. Ballot turnover receipt reports indicate which batches have been approved for signature verification and sent to the Elections Department for further processing and tabulation. The next Pima County important resource is the Pima County Elections Department website. It is at the top of the screen. Bookmark it. On the left-hand side of the slide, you will see the home screen of the Pima County Elections Department. At the bottom, notice the tab menu items. On the right-hand side of the slide, I have a zoomed view of those tabbed options. They include current election info, ballot info, candidate and PAC information, which does include precinct committeeman election information, poll worker information, voter information, and important election links. This is an excellent election resource. All right, let's go over the basics of voter registration in the state of Arizona. Who can register to vote in Arizona? You must be a U.S. citizen, provide proof of citizenship on the Arizona voter registration form. We'll go over that in a few minutes. You must be 18 years or older to vote in the next statewide regular general election. However, you can register at the age of 17 as long as you will be 18 by the general election date. You must be a resident living in the county for which you are registering to vote. We are located in Pima County, Arizona. You cannot register if you are convicted of a felony and have not restored your civil voting rights. You cannot register a person that has been ruled incompetent by a judge. Where to register to vote? With your Republican precinct committeeman, of course, or at the county Republican Party headquarters. You can register at any county recorder's office in any county in Arizona where the voter resides. Pima County Recorder does offer an online option to register voters. If you have a valid driver's license for the state of Arizona, you can register to vote at servicearizona.com. When to register to vote? At least 29 days before an election in which you as a voter intend to vote. For instance, in the statewide Arizona primary, August of 2022, the deadline to register is July 5th, 2022. In the statewide general election held in November of 2022, the deadline to register is October 11th of 2022. If you need assistance restoring your civil voting rights as a convicted felon, there are resources available on the Pima County Recorder website, or please reach out to me as I can provide resources to help. Now let's go over the Permanent Early Voting List or Active Early Voting List, otherwise known as PEVL or AVL. Not being included on an early voting list actually preserves the voter's ability to vote a general ballot at the polls. You actually can vote at the polls or request a ballot by mail by not being on an early voter list. However, as a permanent early voter, if your ballot is lost in the mail or damaged due to one vote, one ballot, you will be forced to vote a provisional ballot at the special condition table at the polling location or voting center. You can request a ballot by mail anytime by contacting the Pima County Recorder's Office at 520-724-4330. Remember, one ballot, one vote. It's time to review the Arizona voter registration form. Box 1 is the early voting selection. If a voter indicates yes to PEVL, they will receive an early mail-in ballot without requesting one every election. However, an early voter will be sent to the special conditions table to vote a provisional ballot at the polling location or voting center. If a voter indicates no to PEVL, the voter is still able to request a mail-in ballot during the request period by calling the Pima County Recorder's Office, or they can go to the polls or voting center on election day and vote a general ballot. This option preserves the sanctity of the voter's ability to vote a general ballot at the polls on election day or request an early ballot. It empowers the voter's choice. Looking further at the Arizona voter registration form, be aware and read it very carefully. Notice the red highlighted and shaded boxes. By providing only the information indicated in the red shaded squares, you will create a federal-only voter. What is a federal-only voter? A federal-only voter is someone that has not proven citizenship on the voter registration form and therefore is not eligible to vote for local offices and candidates, propositions, or bonds, and will be only allowed to vote in the federal election. Let's look at that further. All right, at the top of the form, it clearly states, to be eligible to vote a full ballot, complete the boxes 9, 10, or 11 to provide proof of citizenship. Those are not red shaded boxes. So please be very careful and read the voter registration form. Maybe fill out a sample before you go out into the public and collect voter registration information. By not providing information in boxes 9, 10, or 11, the recorders in Pima County will attempt to verify citizenship through the motor vehicle department. If they are unable to, that will create a federal-only ballot voter who can only vote for the U.S. President, U.S. Senator, and the U.S. House of Representatives. The next slide will explain further. In the November 2020 election, Pima County had 1,942 federal-only voters who voted for President, U.S. Senate, and U.S. House of Representatives only, because proof of citizenship could not be obtained through motor vehicle records and was not provided through the voter registration data. More information can be found on the Pima County Recorder's website, such as the document you see on the slide before you, which is more information about proof of citizenship and voter registration requirements. Please check out the Pima County Recorder's website. You finally got a voter registration form completed. You're so excited. Now what do I do with the form? Well, you can bring it into the Pima County Republican headquarters at 1800 East Fort Lowell, Suite 126. We are located next to the Coin Laundromat. You could also drop them off and bring them to the Pima County Recorder's office, located downtown on Stone Avenue or on the east side on Broadway. You can use the voter registration form self-mailer envelope. They are already pre-addressed to the Pima County Recorder. You just need to seal the tape on the form and add a stamp and drop it in the mail or post office. Okay, moving on. Common issues at the polls on primary and election day include the voter did not check their voter registration status or validity prior to election day. There have been last-minute purges. As a leader in the Republican Party, any voter I register, I recommend they check their voter registration status 30 days prior to any election that they intend to vote in. A voter shows at the polls without proper identification or photo ID. There are alternative forms of ID acceptable, but a photo identification is one of the most commonly used. The voter has not updated their voter record, so therefore their photo identification doesn't match name changes or address changes. Those must be updated. We utilize electronic poll books now. The voter arrives to the wrong polling location. Always check your polling place before the election, especially if you've moved. That's not so much the case anymore since we have moved to voting centers. However, voting centers are going to be further and farther away, so it's always good to check on that so you find the most reasonable, closest travel location. The next three items result from early mail-in balloting. When a voter leaves a ballot at home, it was damaged or lost and never received, or a voter made a mistake on the ballot and threw it in the trash, accidentally overvoting the ballot. Those related issues require a voter to vote a provisional ballot at the special conditions table when they present at a polling location or voting center. Also, many of these voters present not understanding or knowing they were even on the early voting list and never received that ballot. However, the same applies. One ballot, one vote. So they will be sent to the special conditions table to vote a provisional ballot. Provisional ballots are counted separately, and sometimes the results of those ballots aren't released for several days. Yes, photo identification is required in Pima County and Arizona at the polls and voting centers. Every eligible voter is required to show a photo ID, announce their name and place of residence to the election official clerk, and therefore the address and the name must match the identification and the poll book. A voter who does not provide one form of photo identification must provide two alternative forms of identification from list 2. Two of those items may include a valid vehicle registration from the state of Arizona and a valid vehicle insurance card. Those items can be found in most vehicles. There are 3 lawful exceptions. Please read them carefully. The information can be found on the Pima County Recorder's website. Let's talk about the Pima County voting centers. In February of 2022, the Board of Supervisors authorized the use of voting centers for Pima County elections, where any voter can present on election day and vote anywhere in Pima County. Yes, in light of election integrity, it's a very scary proposition. It's important that at the polling locations, we had 249 in the prior election. We now have 129 voting centers. At polling locations, they are usually located within close proximity to most voters, and therefore usually they're people that are known within the community. So now that you can vote anywhere in Pima County, I do have some concerns, but I know many people have lots of questions. So you can find that information again at the Pima County Elections website. Go to the homepage. At the bottom of the homepage, you'll find the tabs for current election info. It's the first selection, all about vote centers. Remember, the Pima County Elections Department website. Bookmark it. The Pima County Elections website, home screen, menu option for poll workers, has a sign up to become a paid poll worker. Yes, Republican paid poll workers are needed to fill all of the voting centers for primary election day in August and general election day in November. You can sign up here and find all the training manuals, handbooks, and information for all the duties of all the poll workers to make sure that you are the most proficient, knowledgeable election official. Let's finish up. You can get voter registration kits and voter registration materials, including the attendance guide, from the Pima County Republican Party headquarters or your legislative district meetings throughout the year. Some great conversation starters. Have you moved or changed your address? Have you changed your legal name? Would you like to change your party affiliation? Would you like to remove your name from the early voting list? Those have proven to be successful conversation starters. Monthly voter registration meetings on Zoom occur the third Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m. Arizona time. The Zoom link information is found here with the meeting ID and passcode, which will remain the same for the year. I will be happy to address any questions either on the Zoom meetings and or by email at volunteer number 4 pimagop@outlook.com. Thank you for your time. Thank you for all you have done and all you will do. I look forward to seeing you next month on the Zoom meeting. Please reach out to me with your success stories and testimonials. Post pictures and promote your events. Again, I can be reached at volunteer number 4 pimagop@outlook.com. Thank you again.